Hey guys, this is gsndom.com with a bit of a format change. We're trying out something new and we're inaugurating it with the iPhone XR. The pretty looking and colorful handset launched at the end of the fall of 2018 and it comes in at a lower price compared to the iPhone XS, but it keeps the main camera. We have on a beautiful product red version and it's priced at $749. Let's check it out. The iPhone XR is a candy, basically a piece of jawbreaker. It looks like a candy, it's bright red, it's a Ferrari in your pocket. You'd think it was slippery, but in reality we had zero accidents with it. We took it to the mountains of Romania and also to Paris and took thousands of photos. It has excellent grip and yes, it's massive and has large bezels, but we fell in love with the product red hue. Also, it's for a good cause. The handset is made of quality premium materials and it's very comfy to use. As far as the display is concerned, we're dealing with an IPS LCD with a 6.1-inch diagonal and with a resolution closer to HD than Full HD. You wouldn't tell though. It compensates via the well-calibrated colors, also it has true tone support and high brightness. We reached around 542 lux units, which is very high. It's no iPhone XS Max, but it beats the Galaxy Note 8 and Xperia XZ3. It also has great contrast and view angles. Too bad the black notch contrasts all the red in a weird way. Time to do a hardware check. We get a potent Apple A12 Bionic processor, the same as the iPhone XS and XS Max 1, plus 3GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. It goes all the way up to 512GB of storage. No trace of lag of any sort or a problem like that. Games ran fine and believe me, since I've played Asphalt 9, Pro Evolution Soccer 2018, PUBG Mobile, Fortnite and Hello Neighbor. I won't detail the benchmarks too much, but I'll tell you this. It's placed second all time in our tests. It beats the Huawei Mate 20 Pro and Asus ROG phone, but the iPhone XR gets beaten by the iPhone XS Max, as expected. The temperature also checks out at 36.5 degrees Celsius when playing Riptide GP Renegade and 40.7 degrees when running GFX Bench. That's close to overheating, but it doesn't go overboard. Heat dissipation is also okay, as shown by a heat map done with a FLIR camera on the Cat S61 handset. Now let's talk about the battery. It's a 2942 mAh unit that has the advantage of a lower resolution screen coupled with it. It provided 12 hours and 58 minutes of playback time in our test at least. It beats the Google Pixel 2 XL and Huawei Mate 20 Pro, and that's all that matters. My own usage experience was also satisfying and I got a day of use easily with maybe an hour or two left for the next day. No pressure. The charging is a bummer because it takes 3 hours and 11 minutes, which is huge for 2018. On the acoustics front, there are stereo speakers here, but things felt underwhelming at first. We got to 77 decibels with the acoustic sample, but when the gaming came in, we got to 101.9 decibels, which is excellent. Acoustics are truly stereo, the bass was solid, and Netflix movies sounded okay. Now, as far as the camera goes, things get pretty clear. We're using a singular camera on the iPhone XR, the main camera from the iPhone XS and XS Max, without the second one of course. It's a 12 megapixel shooter with smart HDR, portrait via software, and you can tweak the depth of the shot after the capture. It also does 4K video or 60 frames per second, and we have a 7 megapixel front camera for the selfies. Now let's analyze some of the photos we took. The first shot was taken during the day and is very well balanced in colors, contrast and dynamic range. The sky is shown perfectly, the buildings are clear, and the tree at the center of the photo is perfectly rendered. The next shot is yet another proof that HDR works fine here. The colors are vivid, there's that gloss that defines iPhone photos, and it makes you want to love the shots. iPhone XR can really handle photos even without a second camera and without telephoto, and shows an excellent level of zoom as seen in these samples. This photo was caught close to sunset and the clarity remains intact. The colors are well highlighted and the sky is pretty well shown, even though you can see a dash of white where it meets the roofs of the houses. This capture involves a small train and it's one of the best shots I've taken in the mountainous Romanian city of Brașov. You can already see the streetlights on, and in spite of that, thanks to the last daylight hues, the iPhone XR does an excellent capture, with a well-balanced lighting. Well, here, the phone can handle its own in the panorama department, where the brightness is uniform, object clarity is great, all over the surface of the picture. Well, we didn't forget about the front camera, and also the portrait shots. The selfies and portrait photos are solid, with or without the bokeh, but we cannot help but notice that the highlights and blurring aren't always perfect. This thing is well shown in the clothes area, where there's an extra blur. This one is a special shot because we like to see that the iPhone XR can handle itself in the contre-jour situations, when there's light in the background and the subject in the foreground only appears as a black contour. This makes you take some artistic shots. This type of portrait shot is basically Apple's invention, at least on phones. In spite of that, the software is imperfect and may cut a piece of your ear, the nose, parts of the head and hair. Could be better, to be honest, and Huawei also tried it out and succeeded. Food shots are already a trend right now and we always do them. That works fine without AI or special modes and tricks, in this case. The pictures look delicious, perhaps even better than the actual food. iPhone XR also surprises in low light conditions, in spite of the fact we tested it in multiple cities and night conditions. You can see the cubic stone on the floor, the colorful lights, the moving subjects shown clearly. This photo was taken in Paris, on the sides of the river Seine, and even though the sources of light are poorer than the shot before, things are clear and excellently shown. I love the way the water reflects the light, hard to beat by any 2018 flagship. The next shot has that Christmas charm and Christmas vibe, where you can almost smell the fir tree and the magic of the holidays, and that's a winner for me. This one is an already famous shot we take in our comparisons with high-end phones of 2018, and have to say that the iPhone XR does just as good as the iPhone XS Max. We could say the same about this shot with the powerful lighting on that pharmacy firm, plus the well-rendered cubic stone. The text in the bright firm is perfectly contrasting and there's no detail missing. Last photo, best of them all, shows us the main monument from Brașov, Casa Sfatului, in very vivid colors, with a shine of streetlights enough not to bother us and perfect clarity. Overall, we agree with the ExoMark, and the iPhone XR is indeed the phone with the best singular camera in 2018. Hopefully we can also test the Google Pixel 3 in the future to see if it's any match for it, but till then, the iPhone XR rules. Now let's talk about the video. We didn't forget about the video capture with a great focus, excellently caught colors, and a microphone that equalizes the voices of folks around me perfectly, also the sources of music. The exposure changes happen in a fine fashion, maybe a bit too sudden towards the middle, and the sky feels a bit too white in some areas. What would our tests be without the stabilization test? We have optical image stabilization here, and I would say it's a bit underwhelming overall, since there's too much flicker and motion blur happening. I expected better, to be honest, and we're below the Galaxy Note 9 and the Huawei Mate 20 Pro for sure. Amateur vloggers are the reason we do the selfie video camera test. This is an area where the iPhone XS Max let us down a lot, and the XR isn't much of a champion either. There's blur, the background is not clear, and the face looks okay most times, so that's about it. We also have a low light video that's 100% flagship material, even generating some extra reflections we wouldn't like to see. The zoom was solid, colors were perfect, and also the light sources were handled okay. Time to discuss connectivity. We have Wi-Fi, A, B, G, and AC, Bluetooth 5.0, NFC, and fast 4G LTE. There's wireless charging and calls were loud and clear with perfect noise cancelling. Of course, there's still the lightning port at the bottom. We also did the special speed test with high scores on Wi-Fi and 4G, both of them achieving very high results. Not much to say now about the software, so here we are in the iOS 12 experience section. iOS 12 is a small upgrade from iOS 11, and it's actually smaller than iOS 11 was for iOS 10. There's the Measure app bundled, extra AI stuff. You can create a memoji and customize your Animoji with something like glasses, the tongue, eye colors, and there's also tongue detection. Face unlock feels superior to the iPhone 10 and it's very fast now. The screen time will show your Facebook addiction and monitor time spent on the device in various apps, services, and all sorts of social media, YouTube, and so forth, via a set of graphs. iOS 12 gets rid of the X's used to close multitasking windows, and also uses the famous gesture-based navigation that started with the iPhone X and was copied by Android Pie. You can swipe up for home, swipe in an L shape for multitasking, and then you can trigger the control center via a swipe down towards the bottom from the top right. Control center includes pilt-shaped buttons or options, and those can be accessed easily. No 3D touch here, at least on this phone, just so you know. The leftmost home screen is the Today view with multiple widgets. iOS 12 also brings improved Do Not Disturb and Siri shortcuts, which let you create actions and customizable controls for the assistant via voice command. FaceTime can now take video calls with groups of around 32 person. No minuses from the iPhone XS Max here, as far as the software goes. So, I guess it's conclusion time. The conclusion goes like this. The iPhone XR is every bit as appealing as the iPhone XS Max, even without the second back camera. And that in spite of the way it's promoted, is the best single camera phone of 2018 for us. It has great performance and great battery, plus a solid set of stereo speakers. You can't tell the screen is not Full HD, for sure, but there are aspects that need work, like the bokeh, stabilization, and maybe the big bezels. The color alone, product red, may be a selling point for the younger audience, and the product red is surely the model to choose if you're going for the XR. I hope you enjoyed the new format of gsmdom.com reviews. This has been the review of the iPhone XR. Bye bye.